Hello, good day everyone. I am ROXANNE GUIA and I am going to discuss the spiritual self. As a human being, there are questions that embark in our mind, like where am I going? What am I doing? What is the meaning of our life? And those questions give us a better understanding about ourselves. Now, let's proceed to this question. What is a spiritual self? The spiritual self is who we are at our core.
It speaks of the quality of one's relationships with God, self, others, institutions, and God's entire creation, marked by respect, forgiveness, generous service, and prayer. It is showing great refinement or high level of Christian maturity and the concern with higher things in life, such as the sacred or the divine.
The spirituality is specified more concretely in the deepening faith. Spirituality leads a man to a deeper communion with the divine, and this can be a healing process that leads to personal development.
The spirit and the soul. The spirit in the Hebrew language is roch or pneuma in Greek, which means breath, specifically the breath of life. Soul, on the other hand, is in Hebrew nephesh or in Greek psyche, originally meaning throat, or nik, which means human life. The term used by the Filipinos for spirit is a loan word, spirito, which is in Visayan term ginihawa, in Tagalog, hininga, and in Ilocano, angis. Here is the Filipino traditional understanding of soul. The Tagalog call the soul kaluluwa, the Bagubos gimukod, the Bukidnons Macau, the Ilocanos kadkaduwa or inside physical body, the Ilonggos dungan or if a person is alive, and kalag if the person is dead. Visayans, dungan or willpower. For the Cebuanos, the soul is referred to as kaluha, and the Mindoro folks, karadwa or kalag, to name a few. This convey that Filipinos have different understanding regarding to the soul, and we have all respective names for it. The dungan, not normally seen by the human eye, for the Ilonggos and Cebuanos, sometimes comes out of the body and takes on a visible form, such as that of an insect, like a housefly or even a lizard. Mago says that the Visayan dungan has a secondary meaning of willpower. A strong dungan is the intellectual and psychological capacity to dominate or persuade others to one's way of thinking.
The notion of multiplicity of souls are common among Filipinos.
4 souls animate the body in early Ilocano belief, namely, the kararwa or the soul proper is the vital element in a man. It can live only after death. The karma or second soul can leave the body when one is frightened, or it can be stolen from the body when the person goes to isolated places. The aniwas or third soul can leave the body during sleep and visit places which the person who owns it frequents when awake. Our aria or fourth soul is the liberated soul of the dead. It is the soul that comes down to earth to visit its relatives and friends, asking them to pray or perform a duty it failed to do in life. Loob and personhood. In the contemporary Filipino understanding of self, we have the concept of loob and personhood. Loob, the inner self or inner being, is core of one's personhood and where the true worth of the person lies. It is what makes one what he is and who he is as a person. It is a term used to describe person in relationship with others. According to Mercado 1994, a purified kalooban is supported by prayer. God's kagandahang loob. The Filipino concept and value, kagandahang loob or kindness, generosity, benevolence, and helpfulness can be a very appropriate description of who God is for Filipinos. It connotes all that is good in a person, which is the ideal among Filipinos. It is quality of being which has its roots in the very heart of a person and which is given expression in the totality of one's life of interrelationship. This reminds us of Jesus in whom words and deeds are true manifestations of His kagandahang loob. This is why God's saving activity is described as kagandahang loob. Loob and prayer. Prayer is said to be the first expression of man's interior truth. Interior truth refers to the core of one's personhood, his loob, which is closely related to man's spirit. Those whose loob is pure, serene and controlled have special powers granted to them by Christ, such as the ability to control elements, cure the sick, speak in different tongues, interpret signs, among others.
Let's now proceed on finding and creating meaning by Viktor Emil Frankl.
According to Viktor Frankl, meaning is something to discover rather than to invent. It has the same concept with inner happiness, life satisfaction, self-actualization, deep spirituality. He believes that in life there is an existential vacuum, which means that life is empty, meaningless, purposeless, aimless, adrift, and so on.
So here are 3 ways of discovering meaning of life.
Viktor Frankl indicates 3 broad approaches, namely experiential values, creative values, and attitudinal values. Experiential values. This approach involves experiencing something or someone we value. The most important example of experiential values is the love we feel towards another, family, friends, relatives, and workmates. Creative values. This is the traditional existential idea of providing oneself with meaning by becoming involved in one's projects, or better, in the project of one's own life. It includes the creativity and passion involved in art, music, writing, invention, and work. Attitudinal values speak of the potential to make meaningful choices in situations of suffering and adversity.
Last topic for the Module 9, the spiritual self, is the practice of religion.
Religious practice means attending worship, services, praying, wearing religious garb or symbols, displaying religious objects, adhering to certain dietary rules, proselytizing or other forms of religious expression, on refraining from certain activities. Ritual is defined as something that is characteristic of a rite, practice, or observation, particularly of a religion. An example of ritual is the recitation of traditional vows in a Catholic wedding ceremony, related to a rite or repeated set of actions. They performed the ritual lighting of the candles. Magic is defined as the art of using spells, charms, and rituals to control supernatural forces, or the art of performing tricks and illusions. Witchcraft is the use of sorcery or magic, usually to harm others, and it serves as a communication with the devil.